Every athlete, whether they know it or not, has their peak at some point. It could be a random day in a random training session, or it could be on the world's biggest stage. For most high-level athletes, this trends around 26 years old. And I just turned 30. The good news is, though, in combat sports, specifically in MMA, the average age of high-level competitors is higher. With my body feeling like it's deteriorating more and more every day, I need a bit of inspiration, but also probably a reality check. And this will come from Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, 41 years old, and still one of the best strikers in the UFC. And he's not the only person we're going to hear from. We're going to talk to a buddy who's been in the UFC since he was 19. We're going to talk to some doctors and get some real legitimate facts. And we're just going to look at the numbers in general. And hopefully by the end of it, I might have what some people might call hope for the future. I feel like with the amount of backpacks I carry around, though, it kind of gives me like a youthful spirit, you know, just having so many backpacks. Because who else really carries a backpack around?
What I think about being 30 now is what you feel when you're like in your 20s. Because, you know, I'm 41, and I knew how I felt when I was 30. I felt like I was 15.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. Spend a lot of time on recovery. You may have to start doing more recovery stuff. You need to get, I mean, if as much as you guys are still training, I get massages once or sometimes even twice a week, depending on how bad I feel.
This past summer, I actually trained with Steven for a full 24 hours during his fight camp. And I can vouch that he's a maniac. But he doesn't just maniac in like the maniacal way you would expect. He also works on his body in less combative ways.
I do contrast baths, things like that, which I love now.
Cold.
Yep.
Okay.
Now I gotta prioritize. This day I'm gonna do this. Tomorrow I'm gonna heal. Next day I'll do this. But I still, in those training sessions, even though they're not as long and I'm not doing as much throughout the day, I still try to push myself really hard in that session. When it comes to speed, when it comes to the mass thing, that's what keeps me fast. And I don't accept it. Most guys accept it and they accept it, so they're just like, I'm not gonna try to get any faster because I can't get any faster.
Looking back on this now, I think it's my first hint as to what makes these athletes capable of going for so much longer. In other sports, you have seasons where you play games multiple times a week. For a fight camp, you obviously train incredibly hard, but there's ways to optimize it so your peak performance is 1 to 3 times a year. Also, he has one more secret that's like, maybe not common amongst athletes. Seeing your day-to-day and how you move around with people, like it just doesn't seem like you're like, oh yeah, I'm the elder here.
Well, that's because I hang out with kids all day long.
That's true.
But, and I think that has a lot to do with keeping me young. Instead of drinking their blood, just hang out with her.
See, I didn't think that you did that, but now that you say it.
And you just soak up their presence. Whenever you're in their presence, you just soak up their...
Like your body was different?
Yeah,
so?
I remember the day when I turned 30, it changes for me. Like he says, the body recovery does take longer.
Yeah.
I do feel different.
Yeah.
But now looking back, I was like, it was not bad.
Yeah.
It's just when I turned 30, I feel different.
On this day, we were here because Kevin Lee was making a video called Does Size Matter in Martial Arts, where he just fights both of us. And like I mentioned, I'd been feeling my age lately. I should feel like this. Watch it comes out in like 3 years in the news. You guys here, you forget about me entirely. YouTube martial artist, Sensei Seth, documented as first human with IT bands made of stone. But I don't do that as soon as the timers go off. I'm not that stiff once the round begins. In between the rounds, I'm a stone man. I'm not a professional athlete, though. Actually, you know what? Steven was a professional athlete at my age.
30 when I fought Kote.
Okay.
That long ago. Wow. No, it might have been Whitaker.
Wow. That was what, the first fight in color?
Yeah, just about. Yeah,
That's
first
crazy.
fight in color.
Yeah. UFC 3.
Yeah. Stupid.
How long have you been fighting?
15. I was 15 years old when I had my first fight. 26 years.
I believe.
Been fighting for 26 years.
Dang, that's crazy. What do you feel like is different now when you've had your first MMA fight, let's say?
Up until about 25, I thought I was invincible.
Okay.
I really did. I healed up like Wolverine. Go in and train. I could eat 3 freaking Big Macs and go in and train for 3 hours, you know?
Yeah.
I'm sitting there at our old state karate cutting double backflips off our building on the pavement. You know what I mean? Like crazy stuff like that.
Yeah.
I could do anything.
That's probably best that you're not doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you feel as fast as you did back then?
I do, actually. I would love to fight myself. Back when I was younger. I would love to fight myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm a better fighter now than I was then. Now, was I as fast?
But the experience.
I don't like to say I don't like to say no. My wisdom when it comes to the fight game is a lot better. So I crush myself.
I'll be cool to kind of see that your young self versus yourself now.
Yeah. Who do you think would win?
I don't know. I want to roll with myself when I was like younger.
Dude, you could do that whenever you want, man. So I'm assuming you're like, oh, I would smash him.
I assume so, but I feel like my younger self could be stronger, faster. I don't know. There's a lot of things that, but like you said, experience, like the way I train is different.
Yeah.
You know, so I think I could crush myself from 5 years ago.
Is that where you keep the catalogs of whose children's blood you need next?
Exactly.
It's like,
it's alarming me.
Who needs a belt test?
Yeah.
Whose blood am I taking? Wow.
He's been here long enough.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
So nobody will miss him if he's gone. You know, if I make them better as fighters, when I go kill them, when I fight them, and try to take their life, they put up a better fight.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, I figured you kept him alive. Hanging out with Wonder Boy and Kevin for the day kind of gave me some insight and perspective as to how to fight back Father Time. So like any rational human, I did some muscle scraping on the way home, and then immediately went home and made a poor decision. What's up? Had a little razor mishap, okay? It happens. Maybe this is just my midlife crisis. Okay, but then I immediately went back to make good decisions, booked myself a stretching appointment. I did not give in to temptation, had some protein. What's up, guys? Well, oh my goodness, I matched. What's up, guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm gonna be seeing exactly how many bites it takes to get through an entire box of Magic Spoon cereal. I'm just kidding, I won't be doing that. But this video is brought to you by Magic Spoon. Lately, Magic Spoon has been one of my favorite old treats that I can rationalize being an adult human. Every serving of Magic Spoon high protein cereal has crazy macros. We're talking 13 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, 4 grams net carbs. They come in all these great nostalgic flavors. I'm eating right now the fruity flavor. I usually eat these as like my dessert after dinner. It's nice to not have all the sugar right before I'm about to fall asleep. 11 p.m. sugar would not be the best idea. 12 a.m., 1 a.m. sometimes. And they obviously were so appetizing that my dogs decided to go into my room and get all the empty boxes that I was gonna use for B-roll later, and then just scatter them about the house. There was no more cereal left in it. Joke's on them. Oh, they also took the cereal and turned it into treats recently, these little bars. Magic Spoon's high protein treats are crispy, crunchy, and airy, and an easy way to get 12 grams of protein on the go. Here's a couple more empty boxes if you're curious what they look like. These treats come in mouth-watering flavors like marshmallow. I got double chocolate over here, chocolate peanut butter. Do people still do this? Is this a thing? Get $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com/sensei, or just go to Amazon or your grocery store, you'll find it there. But if you want that $5 off, magicspoon.com/sensei, $5 off. Thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna finish my cereal. I don't know where I heard this, but I feel like I heard that 35 was like the peak age for male athleticism. Can we confirm or deny? You know what? I'm gonna look it up real quick. Average age NFL. 26.6 years old. NBA. 26.03 years old. MLB. 28. NHL. I feel like this might be older. 27. All of these major sports, oh my god, I look so dumb. All of these major sports tend to average out between 26 to 28 years old. But combat sports are different. And I don't exactly know why. When I ran the numbers of sheerly just the pound for pound, the top 15 in the pound for pound, the average age is 33. When you look at the men's heavyweight division, I feel like it's even higher. I mean, you look at some of the oldest champions in history. Like you've got Randy Couture, I think was 45 on his last title fight. Glover Teixeira, after years of fighting, and by years I mean, hold on, let's look at this. Dude went 21-0 loses a fight to John Jones, and then 8 years later fights Jan Blachowicz to become a 42-year-old first-time UFC champion. This reminds me of Mihain Lopez. Mihain Lopez, if you don't know who that is, just won his 5th Greco-Roman championship at 130 kilos for the Olympics. 5-time gold medalist. We're talking about the Olympics where you have to wait for every 4th year to be able to compete. He's 41. So what is it about combat sports that makes the age of the peak age so much higher? Oh, MMA on Point has a video of this already. Oh, brother.
So I'm doom scrolling Twitter one day when I see this tweet from Luke Thomas about fighters' records from 125 to 170 diving off a cliff in title fights.
Of course somebody already made a video about this. Dadgummit! And of course it's MMA On Point. It's a fantastic channel. It's the best. It's gonna be hard to beat their video, to be honest. But I sent them a message, was like, hey, can I see those numbers you were talking about? And sure enough, the average age within UFC fights is 29. But more interestingly, the most common age in UFC championship bouts, so their peak, is 33, with a fair amount of these fights happening with people who are 40 to 45 years old. Now, it's possible that we're seeing the peak be so much higher in the UFC because in order to break through the ceiling of, like, being known, you have to compete at a high level for much longer than other sports. And then because it's so diverse in techniques, applications, so the level of knowledge has to be higher, it takes longer to know more. But what is it that makes the peak of combat sports so much later? I don't know. We gotta find this out. And for that, I called upon a man in which I have hit their toe with an egg. 15, 3, and 1, Chase Hooper. What up?
Hey, how's it going?
Dude, you got a baby there, man.
Oh, yeah.
So actually, funny enough, the first question I was gonna ask is, do you feel like you have like a fatherly strength to you now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the dad strength is coming in a little bit, for sure.
Getting into the UFC at such a young age, did you feel like there was a difference between your body and the people you were fighting?
Yeah, I mean, my UFC debut, that was probably proportionally one of the strongest dudes I've ever fought. But I think he was like around 30. I definitely felt a little underpowered. The dude actually, he like squeezed my head so hard. He had like a head and arm, and he squeezed it so hard that he like popped my collarbone.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know that until after. I was like, oh, my neck hurts.
Oh. How long did that take to recover from the collarbone?
I never like went to the doctor for it because they would have just put me in a brace.
Yeah.
I can definitely feel it because it'll like kind of grind sometimes. Get some bone on bone action every now and again.
Yeah, I mean, what's a little bone on bone action, right? Sorry, there's a baby. That's my bad. Do you feel like your body composition has changed? Do you feel like what you know has changed?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely both of those things. Like it's a physical maturing and the mental side of it with also, the time in, like another 5 years since I was, made my UFC debut and another 7 since I was on Contender Series. I feel like that's a big factor in like a lot of these guys peaking is having the right amount of experience like that.
Heck yeah, and that was an interesting fight. So you had Clay Guida was your most recent one, right?
Yeah.
Who is 43, I think?
Yeah, I think he just turned 43.
What advantages do you feel like you had in there physically?
Yeah, I felt faster, longer, stronger. Honestly, like every aspect, I felt pretty good in that fight.
I will be the first to admit that I'm not a fighter. I would call myself an athlete, though. I practice martial arts all the time, so it's kind of hard to compare because so much time has passed, but it moves so slowly that you don't notice a difference. There is one way to test to see if I still can do the stuff I did at 25, to see if I've still quote-unquote got it. Today I have one goal, and that is to recomplete the hardest thing I've ever done in martial arts. That's not true. And also the thing that gave me this life on YouTube. I used to make these viral videos where I would kick water bottles. That's it, but they were insane, I will admit. And who knows how long it's been since I made one. But these are some of the most athletic things I've ever done, so I figured, why not try the bottle cap challenge again? So we're gonna try and recreate that today because I haven't tried it since, And the goal is to throw a spinning or a tornado kick. Oh my. I'm gonna have to warm up a lot. I will admit, warming up takes a lot longer than it used to. Just kind of depends on the day, but on sore days, I'm toast. I got nothing. But once these big legs are warm, they'll move. That was the first try. That was the actual first try. Oh no. I'm not joking. That is the third try. I also don't as regularly have the same desire to see if I can do that. I may have thrown my quad out. Until I start going. And then once that starts, I have to accomplish it or it's gonna really bother me. It was looking good in the beginning, kind of similar to how I felt the first time I tried this. But after a lot of close calls, and some driving myself crazy, yeah, I might be donezo. I decided to eventually call it quits. Yeah, I'm done. I'm gonna hurt myself if I go too much longer. Looking back, I got it right here. Can we count this? I feel like that's it, right? Well, I did not get it, which hurts my feelings, but I came very close, which is all I did the first time until 3 hours later. So I don't feel so bad. 45 minutes, I got a lot of close calls. Actually, funny enough, my body did the exact same thing, which is just kind of fall apart at the end. And then I had to take a pretty long break and then come back at it. Overall, I feel pretty good. I mean, like, my body did exactly what I wanted it to. I'd say the bottle didn't cooperate more than anything else, if you ask me. Actually, what's really funny is that Dr. Chris Rayner just sent me a video.
Hey everybody, it's your favorite orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Chris Rayner, here to keep you moving, grooving, and maybe even throwing a few punches. But safely, that is. All right. So let's start with the bones and muscles, the bread and butter of any athlete. Did you know that we hit our peak bone mass and muscle strength in our 20s? That's right. When you're out there in your early 20s, tossing people around the mat and landing head kicks like a champ, you're at your absolute physical peak. But here's the kicker. By the time you hit 30, things start to change. After 30, lean body mass, that's the muscle folks, starts to decrease. And it's not just the muscles that get a little lazy. Growth hormone production, which plays a huge role in muscle repair and recovery, also starts to drop after your early 20s. So yeah, by the time you hit your 30s, your body is kind of like, hey, remember when I used to help you recover overnight? Yeah, not anymore, bro. And let's not forget about testosterone, the king of male hormones. Testosterone levels peak around age 20 and then start to slowly decline. About 1% every year after you hit 30. So what does that mean for fighters? Well, it's not just about the muscles. Testosterone also affects your energy levels, mood, and even your motivation to get up and train. If you're wondering why it feels a little harder to drag yourself to the gym at age 35 compared to 25, now you know. Joint cartilage actually starts to show evidence of wear in your 20s. By your 30s, you might start noticing some stiffness, especially if you've been training hard. And trust me, joint stiffness doesn't care if you're a world champion or a weekend warrior. All these changes sound pretty scary, but here's the good news. These changes are gradual. And more importantly, lifestyle choices can make a big difference. Regular exercise, a healthy diet, and proper recovery can certainly slow the decline. So don't just hang up your gloves just yet. With dedication and the right attitude, you've still got plenty of fight left in you. If you want to prolong your MMA career, keep your bones strong, your muscles sharp, and your joints moving. And now, back to your favorite sensei.
What a great guy. Gosh, he's the best. Did make me feel good for the most part. Until the end. He turned it around at the end. All that stuff that he said, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. He didn't say anything about kicking bottles and how that changes after a while. Okay, I have come to my conclusion on what I think the peak age is and why it's so much higher than every other sport. For comparison's sake, I think the only thing that comes close to the level of contact MMA has is the NFL. There's 3 reasons I can think of that the peak age is older for MMA than the NFL. Promotion, information, and injuries. I'm also going to add a 4th, which is skill. Let's start off with injuries. The average shelf life for an NFL player is 3.3 years. That is 17 games a year. So what's that, 50, 40 something games? 2 hours straight of full contact explosive bursts. It's not good for your body. Aside from all the things that can go wrong in your own running and pivoting, rotating, you're also getting hit a lot. No matter what position you are. Quarterbacks, we don't really count. Same for punters, kickers. There's helmets, shoulder pads, cleats, a bunch of things that are unnatural and designed to keep you safe, but because you have them, you can go harder, which means you're more likely to get injured. MMA, it's just you, a dude, and some gloves. Half of the sport is to hurt someone else, but the other half is to keep yourself safe. As much as you're attacking, you're defending as well. You can't really say that in the NFL. So injuries definitely lead to athletes being burnt out much quicker in professional football. If you want to look at concussions, MMA's actually a lot safer than an NFL game. Now, if you go into a 5-round war, it's not good for you, 100%. It kind of depends on how you practice. The NFL is much more well-regulated. It's been around for longer, and it's one organization that everybody's a part of. If you're in an MMA gym, it is a gym that happens to have a fighter in a promotion. It's a completely different ball game. There are definitely regulations, but they're not the same. So if you're a gym battler, you could be really hindering how long you fight for. But still, overall, I think the injuries on average that fighters sustain compared to those in American football, I think it's safer. Now, the reason I say promotion is because the NFL has a very codified way to get the best guys from middle school to high school to college to the NFL. And by the time they're 21, 22 years old, they are primed and ready to enter the pro level. The money's also there. In MMA, like, you could have a guy who's been fighting pro for 3 years and is still working at a kitchen. So it takes so much longer for the top level guys to get to the top level because the road just has so many more twists and turns and variables. So it makes sense that it takes guys longer to get to the top. The third one is going to be information. If you are a player in the NFL, you have to know the playbook, formations, routes, blocking assignments, tackling form. There's a lot. Don't get me wrong. But in MMA, you're learning dang near every single way to move your body to do combat with another human. You look at jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu, it takes 10 to 12 years to get a black belt. That's one aspect of MMA. If you want to be at the very top level, you've got to learn how to be the best at almost every single thing. That takes a really long time. And that plus most people aren't learning how to fight from 4 years old like I was playing football when I was 4. Now, the skill one. I think one of the things that leads to the best fighters being older is because if you're one of the best fighters, you're winning fights, which means you're taking less damage. The whole goal of MMA is hurt someone and not get hurt. If you're not good at it, you're not going to be able to do it for long because you're going to get hurt. This goes for in fights and in practice. Also, obviously, the type of combat you do is going to play a big part in this. If you do jiu-jitsu and you prefer a game that doesn't scramble a lot, or if you're a striker and you're a big counter puncher, or you're somebody who likes to stay on the outside, stick and move, you're not going to get hit as much, which means you take less damage, you probably have a longer career. The more information you can take in, the better you can know your body, and the better you can use it. So all in all, I think it makes a lot of sense why people have a much longer shelf life, can fight for much longer in MMA than pretty much any other pro sport. Let me know other topics like this you'd like me to discuss. This is fun for me. I love diving into things that don't immediately make sense and talking to fun people. So until next time, subscribe or I'll punch you.
I'm gonna get you one of these days with my 30-year-old overhand right.